In today's video, I thought I would do a pretty interesting concept of what would a championship mean to specific superstars or just well-beloved or high-profile fighters. What would winning a championship do for them specifically? How would it help their case, going up the GOAT ladder? How would it help their case going up the GOAT ladder in their specific division? How would it just benefit their career in general? And the first person I want to start out with is Peter Yan. If Peter Yan can become a champion, if Peter Yan can win a belt 4 or 5 years after he lost it originally, it will be a complete redemption for his fall off. As practically everyone knows, Peter Yan had a really bad fall off. Not in skill, but he just wasn't winning fights. Okay? At one point, this guy was put up as someone who would go into the bantamweight GOAT, and that just didn't happen. Okay? It just really didn't happen. But if he can get the belt back, if he can get it back, at just 31 years of age, he 100% would have a chance to solidify himself as bantamweight GOAT. And even if he just gets the belt back, he would already be a top 3 bantamweight all time. Easy. No discussion. Moving on to the next guy, which is Jose Aldo. If Jose Aldo goes on to capture the bantamweight belt, which is highly unlikely, but if he can do it, he will have an argument as the greatest fighter of all time. For me, he's already top 5. For most people, I would say he's top 7. But if he can capture the bantamweight title, he will have an argument as the greatest of all time, and he would definitely be top 3 all time. Winning a title that long after his prime at bantamweight, after already having 7 title defenses at featherweight, when it really should be 9 or 10, but that would literally be the perfect career for Jose Aldo. And for me, he would be the GOAT, and for anyone, you would have to put him in your top 3. The next guy I want to talk about is Alexander Volkanovski. If Alexander Volkanovski can get back the featherweight title, how much does it help him? It helps him a fucking ton. He is a guaranteed top 5 fighter all time. He got KO'd by Islam, gets KO'd by Poirier, and somehow still manages to come back and become champion. Do you know how crazy that is? That's literally insane. That is unheard of. Something like that has never happened. If he can pull that off, he will be top 5 all time. And who knows, if he beats Ilya in the trilogy, he might even squeeze in at the number 3 spot if you're being quite generous. But he would 100% be top 5 all time. Best featherweight all time, guaranteed at that point. Now, moving on to Max Holloway. Obviously, Max is no longer at featherweight, but if he can manage to pick up a title at lightweight, he is top 7 all time guaranteed. Maybe top 5 if you want to be very generous to him. A guy who, if Volkanovski didn't exist, would have like 10 title defenses. He already has like 4. BMF champion, then becomes a lightweight champion. He would have one of the strangest careers within the UFC, one of the weirdest to rank. But it would be beautiful for him, okay? Moving on to the next guy, which is Aljamain Sterling. If Aldo can win a belt, the guy will finally get some fucking respect put on his name, okay? Aldo is one of the commonly most disrespected fighters within the UFC. I understand there was a lot of asterisks with his title reign, but the disrespect on Aldo was kind of crazy. If he could somehow win the featherweight title, he'll finally get some respect put on his name and be saw by everyone as a true champion, and people will 100% take him seriously. Now the next guy is Charles Oliveira. If Charles can beat Islam specifically to win the belt, he would have arguments the best lightweight of all time. Even if he just gets a defense after or wins the trilogy, he would be the best lightweight of all time. If he beats Arman, it's a bit different. Really, for Charles, it isn't the belt which would put him higher. It would be who he beats to get the belt. Beating Arman would mean nowhere near as much as beating Islam. But if Charles gets the belt, he gets extremely close to becoming the best lightweight of all time. And extremely close to getting top 15 all time. Moving on to Dustin Poirier. Dustin, but most people I'd say is the best fighter to never win a belt. He's been a top 3 contender for fucking God knows how long now. And he literally has one of the craziest resumes of all time without ever becoming champion. Okay? Without ever becoming champion. If he can win a belt, he's legitimately in the argument for the best lightweight of all time because his resume is already so fucking insane. Moving on to the next guy, which is Kamaru Usman. If Kamaru Usman can win back the welterweight belt somehow, and even just get one defense with it, he's the best welterweight of all time. Straight up, he is, okay? Especially because you can't put the losses on him too hard. You know, Hamzat wasn't even at welterweight and it was short notice. And come on, man, the Leon first one's a bit harsh, you know what I mean? He lost fair and square in the second. He lost fair and square in both of them. But he lost a fair and square decision that he wasn't dominating in their third fight, okay? But if he can win back the belt, he's easily top 10 all time. Might even be top 5 all time. And would be the best welterweight of all time. Now the next guy is Colby Covington. If Colby Covington can somehow become champion, it will make everything he's done actually matter. People will put respect in his name because the respect on Colby's going downhill, man. It's been going downhill for a long time. I mean, this guy's last ranked wins are like Rafael dos Anjos. That's literally it. It's dos Anjos, that's it. Okay. He will finally have some validation behind his career instead of just being remembered as a guy who was so close but just couldn't make it. Now, moving on to Israel Adesanya. If Israel Adesanya can become middleweight champion once again, then he wouldn't be the best middleweight of all time, but he would be guaranteed top 15 all time, okay? I already have him top 15, but some people don't. Now, he might even edge into the top 10. But I don't think getting title does too much for Izzy. Don't get me wrong, it'd be a great accomplishment, but I really don't think it does too much for him. Moving on to Khamzat Chimaev. If Khamzat Chimaev can become champion, okay, that will validate everything that was said about him coming up. Validate absolutely everything that was said about the guy coming up. Okay, so much was put on this guy, and if the expectations get met even in the slightest, everything would have been worth it.